host for Beyond the Roar. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 3 in Branding in the Big Leagues. I'm Kendall Lampman.
I'm Coral Detwiller.
I'm Ali Christensen.
I'm Jahveya Davis.
I'm Tryniti Diaz.
And I'm Paige Burton.
Today we're talking about something in sports broadcasting that fans don't always think about the brand behind the broadcaster. Because let's be honest, it's not just athletes building a brand anymore, broadcasters are too. Think about it when you follow your favorite sports reporter or analyst on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. You're not just seeing game updates. You're seeing their personality, their takes, behind the scenes, moments, and sometimes even their hot takes after a crazy game. So today, we're diving into what actually goes into building the presence. How do broadcasters connect with fans online? How do they balance being professional while also still showing their personality? And what skills does it take to stand out in a world where everyone is posting content? Because in today's sports world, being great on camera is only part of it. Building a brand of the field might be just as important. We're excited to welcome our special guest, Matison Little, to the show today. We're so glad you're here. To kick things off, can you tell us about your background and what your journey has taken you so far?
Yeah, so I am currently a sideline reporter. I'm completely freelance. But I went to UCF in Orlando. I was a broadcast journalism major there, and as soon as I graduated, I knew I didn't want to take the traditional media route. So I went about, and it'll kind of feed into what you guys are talking about today and building, my brand and building my network and reputation on my own. And I worked my way up to where I am as a completely freelance sideline reporter. And now I am living in North Carolina covering football, basketball, from high school football on Friday nights to ACC football and ACC basketball. So it's been super fun. And yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been a good one.
Awesome. When starting your broadcasting journey, did you think of creating any social media accounts to start and getting your name out there?
Yeah, when I was in school, it was suggested to us that we create a social media page specifically for our broadcast work. And at the time, I was all on board for that. But as, things started to change, COVID hit, and social media really, I think, in that time took off. It became more and more evident that people wanted to see like the personality side of things. It became more so or less so about, professionalism on social media and more so about building that brand you guys are talking about. So, yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna say I'm not perfect at. It's hard to balance it all, as you guys probably know, but it's a work in progress and definitely something that is continuing to evolve. So I started something right away, but it's changed over time for sure.
I have a question that's just building off of that, and it's about how you balance professionalism with like building a personality on social media, because obviously you want to like stand out and have a reason that fans want to follow you, but at the same time, like there has to be a line of like what's too much or what you can't really say.
Right. So, I think as you're building your social media, keeping your audience in mind is, a big piece of it. So for me, I definitely have a lot of student athletes that follow me. So student athletes that I've come in contact with throughout my career, coaches I've come in contact with throughout my career, but also people like you guys who are, aspiring to do what I do. So keeping that in mind. And knowing that, yes, a lot of my content is work catered. That's a big part of my life. But also, like, I showed you guys, I have my dog next to me. Like, he's a huge, like, my child. So he is on my social media a lot. I have a boyfriend that's on my social media a lot. So I use the rule of thirds. So, like, my social media, more so, work, but I try to keep it a third personal, a third work, and then the other third, like, fun things or reposts or trending stuff. Um, I think that's a good line, but also, like I said, knowing your audience and knowing that I do have student athletes, I do have young, like aspiring broadcasters. So the things I post, like I'm not going to post myself out like with friends at night. Like I don't post that stuff because you want to keep that professionalism alive. I mean, yes, if I'm on vacation, I'm having a cocktail, I can post it. But like, if I'm out on a Friday night with my friends, probably not going to see that. Um, So I think it's just a judgment call, but also just knowing that you are we all want to be a social presence and just trying to create the image that you want to be known as and doing that from the jump.
Kind of like going what do you think like what media platforms have you found like most valuable to reach like your targeted audiences and like help you grow your personal.
We all know we're in the world of TikTok right now. That's kind of where things are trending. I think our generation has a shorter attention span. Um, you guys are a couple years younger than me, so maybe even more so. So that short form content is definitely where it's at right now. Am I the best at TikTok? No. So work in progress. But Instagram still, I think that's kind of the end all be all. It's gonna be there for forever. That's where I post most of my like I just covered this game stuff or like this is where I'm at right now type stuff. But TikTok is definitely, if you can take advantage of it, do it. Post your hot takes there, post the trends, try to show a little bit of your personality there. I think that's where things are trending towards. But for me personally, someone that does have like, coaches and stuff following me, Instagram is, and I also use LinkedIn a lot, but um Instagram and TikTok are kind of the big ones, as you guys probably suspected.
Kind of going off of that, when you started like posting on Instagram and TikTok, what was like your pathway on building like your personal brand and what did you kind of choose of like this is how I want to build my brand to other people?
I think it's evolving. I think it's a work in progress. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. I think that obviously, like I said, a big part of my life is work, and that's kind of what I keep things catered towards. But like, I also feel like my personal brand or what I try to convey is that like I'm figuring it out, and like I'm definitely very much so into my sports. I'm definitely very much so a girly girl. Like I love all the things typical girls love. I love to go shopping. I love getting my nails, my hair. Like that's kind of where I'm at. So like I said, balancing that personal with work is kind of the brand I'm going towards, but I mean, there's specific niches that people find that are definitely beneficial. Um, and I think that could be of a benefit. Have I found my exact niche yet? No. I try and it evolves, but I think that finding something that's true to you and something that's easy to maintain. So like I started my career and I was like, oh, day in my life. Like, but those are hard. Like nobody talks about that. Like I don't remember. I'll start by my morning routine and then it's 4 o'clock and I'm like, I just missed my whole day. So like nobody talks about that. It's hard. But I think that's where I started. But now I'm just trying to trend more towards, the real side of it. But it's evolving. It's not something I have down perfectly. But I think that's also part of like who I am. I'm in my career. I'm evolving. I don't have that down perfectly. So I think it kind of, coincides with that.
Would you say that behind the scenes content resonates more with fans than traditional content, like in terms of viewers on like TikTok versus Instagram?
I think it depends on your audience. I love behind the scenes contents because I'm in it. And that's what I like to see. I'd like to see how different people prepare. I like to see how different people go about their job. But I also love to see a good hot take here and there. So I think it just depends on your audience, um, and who your following is. Like I said, I have a lot of student athletes. They know the top storylines. Like they're on the ESPN app most, most of the time. And then I have a lot of students like you guys that follow me. And I mean, I like to think that you guys like would prefer to see what goes into it rather than the final product because you can turn on TV and see that. So my audience for sure, I think likes the behind the scenes, and like the fun stuff. But there's definitely an audience on the flip side. Like my dad doesn't care about, a sports reporter's day in the life. Like he wants to know what's happening on the ESPN, top headlines. So it just depends, I think.
Going off of that, when you are like posting your behind the scenes content, how do you decide like what event is the biggest one to have the most content that you can gain from?
It honestly depends on when I remember to film it, but I think that it also is just kind of like availability. So like there's some events where I'll show up like a game day and it's like boom, 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 I'm there, like I'm busy till tip off. That day, obviously, it's a bit harder. Um, that was the case this past week. I was in Asheville for the SoCon basketball tournament. I had 10 games, 3 days, 18 teams. Crazy. My mindset going in was, oh, this is a great opportunity to get content, great opportunity to post a lot. I made one post. I was too busy. So I think that honestly, it's some of the smaller events that I'm more able to do that at. Um, and then also for me personally, it's just getting over the hump of like people watching me make content, which is also, a thing. So like I find that if it's a day where I have gone to shoot around, which is like the morning practices, and then I'm there for a few hours before tip off, I can make more content then. Mainly it's an empty gym. I have more time, but I wouldn't say it's the size of the event, more so like my schedule of the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You definitely like timing plays a big role inside of that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
With your social media and everything, is there like a specific time that you usually do post, like a specific time at night, a specific weekday during? Yeah, just let me know a little bit about that because I feel like you want like the best content out there and you want people to see it. And I feel like there are certain times like on all social media platforms that is the best to do that. So if you can get us a little insight on what you have done.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm completely freelance sideline, but I also work for one of my friend's marketing companies. Just once, if you guys go into the freelance world, you'll know that it's necessary. But I'm sure you guys are more tech savvy than me, but I just learned that Instagram actually tells you exactly what time you should post. So if you go into your insights, and look at your like audience insights, it'll tell you what time your followers are most active on Instagram. And then I'm of the belief that my followers on Instagram are very similar to my followers on TikTok. So I just kind of mirror that. So your Instagram will actually tell you exactly when you should be posting. It'll tell you when people are most active. So for me, it's usually like um in the morning time from like 7 to 9 when people are waking up and scrolling their phones before they get busy for the day, or like 6 to 9 p.m. when people are winding down for the day and rotting, post work. So, that's personally when I try to post, but like I said, your Instagram will tell you like your specific audience.
All right, let me write that down. That's a good fact. Keep that one in the pocket. Going off of that, I saw like on your social media account, your other account that you have for your broadcast, for like your podcast. How would you describe your brand? Like, are they different on each platform or are they similar?
Yeah. Um, they're definitely very similar. I'm a sports reporter who likes to tell the stories. I like to put a spotlight on things off the court. That's always been what I've been about. That's why I do my job. And I think that's exactly what my podcast did. And then if you look at my podcast page, it's very pink, it's very girly. That's me. I post, on there, I post clips from my podcast, which show my personality a little bit. I post my, little hot take news updates. And then I also try to do some of the trends. So like it's very, very like similar to my personal Instagram. I will say, however, I've stopped my podcast just because once I hit football season, I got too busy, so it'll come back over the summer. And I do think that I'm going to merge the two because, like I said earlier, keeping, it true to me, like that's part of me. So why would I have two separate Instagrams, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think like merging the two will definitely like it will come join both of your audiences, but you'll also be able to get that personal experience too, like your
Right,
other, yeah. So I think it'd be great.
for sure.
Also, fun fact, Madison, you can like schedule your post on Instagram. Like if you like the night before if you wanted to post, you could put like 7 a.m. for the next day on Instagram.
You'll have to teach me because
Kind of going off of that, I was just gonna say, is there anyone that you kind of like look up into like in the industry of just like not even like when it comes to their broadcasting, but maybe just like their branding and their like own content. Like they might not be your like favorite broadcaster, but you just love the way they like run their Instagram and their social media.
Yeah, there's a girl in the Midwest somewhere. Her and I've never met in person, but we've become like, we talk a lot just about the industry and stuff. Her name is Casey Standahar. She is in Chicago. She's working for the NBC affiliate in Chicago. She works with the Bears. She does a lot of stuff, but she is also in the process of planning a wedding. She's in the like she has a little weenie dog that she posts like, and she's really good about incorporating all of that into her content, and I really look up to that. But also like someone even as big as like an Erin Andrews. Like obviously she has a content worthy life. She's covering the biggest games in the world, but like she also posts like so like stuff that's so real to who she is. So I admire that, but on a smaller scale, Casey Standahar, and she's definitely someone that you guys should contact and look up, like look at her stuff because she's really, really good at what she does.
Yeah, I'll have to look her up. I like following like broadcasters whose content's like relatable. Like, okay, this is like a real like you can see more of their normal life because it's like,
Right.
okay, this is like a doable thing and like I can relate. So I'll have to look her up because I love dog mom life.
I know like with the media and everything changing, kind of like we talked about earlier, like with Instagram, TikTok, and like the shorter, like the shorts, I guess.
hmm
Have you ever had like moments where you've like tried to post something a little different and fan engagement like kind of surprised you?
Yeah, so anything I post about my dog does way better than anything I post about me. And when I first got him, there was a trend that went around where it was like spell your dog's name in emojis. And my dog's name is Goose. And so I spelled his name in emojis and it like blew up. And I was like, I've been trying to build my brand for years and I've been trying to get this engagement. And I post a video of my dog and it blows up in 2 seconds. I was like kind of mad at him, not gonna lie.
I don't know if you said this before, but what kind of dog is he?
He's a chocolate lab, so the chocolate lab and the lab community definitely bands together hard. So that might have something to do with it. You put a chocolate lab hashtag on your post, they're gonna flood your page. So just beware.
I have a yellow lab. His name's Oliver.
Oh, well, you get it. You get
Yes.
it.
I think you might need to switch from sports to like dog reporting. I don't know if that's a thing.
If
Maybe.
we can
I
get
don't
some
know.
American Kennel Club reporting going on, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
If that's my break in the industry, I'll take it. I'll
Right. You
take
could
it.
do a mixture, do like a sport
Yeah,
dog. I don't know.
for
Turn him
sure.
into an athlete.
For he could be the next Air Bud for sure.
Right. Right, right.
You guys know that movie?
Yeah, I know that
Okay,
movie. I know that movie. The
perfect.
Disney movie, yeah.
Trinity, you need to watch it.
I
Yeah,
watched like
I was like,
doggy
I've never
football.
seen that.
You need
There's
to
like
watch it.
doggy
The dog.
football on
Yeah.
like the I forget what channel it's on, but it's on like the National Geographic channel or something like with the animals, and they have like Puppy Bowl, and it's so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. Yeah. That's your guys' homework. Everyone watch Air Bud. It's a classic.
I'll have to send them a video because obviously I've been following you for a long time. But I like the video of Goose with like picking the rankings of
Yeah, that's something else that I do like to incorporate it. My dog does picks for like the biggest game, so he'll pick his like winner. So for the Super Bowl, um, he picked the Patriots. He's actually really bad at it, but it's cute. And he picked his whole March Madness bracket last year, so we have to do that this year. But yeah, he had a bracket he did better than I did. So.
Do you want to talk to us about your journey in college, how you got to the position that you're in today, and then also maybe looking forward, maybe what like the future might look for you, what your final
Yeah.
goal is?
Yeah, so I went to UCF, go Knights, and I majored in broadcast journalism. I went into it knowing what I wanted to do. I've wanted to be a sideline reporter since high school when I discovered that it was a possibility. So I went into it knowing exactly what I wanted to do. So The way the broadcast journalism track works at UCF is it's very news based. Sports, in my opinion, kind of felt like an outlier in that. So it was kind of difficult on like to make those opportunities for myself, but whenever I could find a way to make something sports related, I did. So, on top of that, I also worked with UCF Athletics my final year, which I wish I would have gotten involved sooner. If you guys have a chance to get involved in your athletics department, do it. Um, but we got a new director of broadcast my final year. Um, I was supposed to graduate in December of COVID. I decided not to because who wanted to graduate and try to figure out life in COVID? So that whole final year that I stayed, I ended up graduating December of 2021. I was taking one Spanish class and working with athletics. Um, I started sideline with them my final semester, so December 2021, I convinced our broadcast director to let me sideline some basketball games. Um, that gave me, along with some internships, I had news internships because that was what we were required to do. But outside of my 2 news days, I chose to go in a third day unpaid to shadow sports because I wanted that. So on all of that kind of helps me build a reel when I graduated. Um, and as soon as I graduated, I posted my reel. I should probably take it down. It was not good. Um, and I got a crazy opportunity. Someone reached out to me via LinkedIn and was like, "We're starting a high school sports network locally. We want a sideline reporter." It was handed to me. It was perfect, like just kind of, a God thing. And I did that for 8 to 9 months. The company ended up going under. Nothing worked out, but I got a good reel from it. I had so many high school football games. It was so carefree. I got to make mistakes. I got to learn on the fly. I was my own camera person, so I would like be recording the game and then have to flip it for a stand up. It was crazy. But I did that, which got me a reel. And then I emailed every university in the state of Florida. That is not an exaggeration. Every university in the state of Florida, I sent them my reel. And I asked all of them, I'm Madison. This is what I want to do. I know opportunity is, hard to come by. If you have any interest in adding a sideline reporter, please give me a chance. 2 schools answered, 2 of them. I mean, 2 schools gave me like a positive answer. UNF in Jacksonville and FIU in Miami. I lived in Orlando. So Miami is like 3.5, 4 hours south of Orlando. Um, Jacksonville is 2 hours north. Jacksonville offered to pay, FIU didn't. So obviously, I take Jacksonville and make it a priority. Driving up and down to Jacksonville at least twice a week for a year, 2 years. And then more and more opportunities started to come. Then I moved to North Carolina. My boyfriend is getting his doctorate at Duke, so I tagged along because ACC country, why would I not? And immediately planted my roots up here, and built my network here. So now I do high school football on Friday nights, which is honestly one of my favorite gigs. It's so fun. I do Wake Forest football pregame halftime show. I do the Citadel football down in Charleston sideline. And then I do basketball at High Point, Wake Forest, um, Charlotte, ECU. I just finished up the SoCon tourney. So it was just a real like process of taking a chance on myself, making the sacrifices, and just really putting in the work um, to make it happen. And now that's what I'm doing. I've been up in North Carolina for almost 2 years now, um, doing all of the above. And in the future, I think that everyone's dream is to just get like a contract with a network. I don't necessarily have a preference on network, but a contract network that would, allow me to just breathe a little bit and maybe quit one of my 7 other jobs would be great. But I mean, I'm blessed if I get to keep doing what I'm doing and, not have to get a 9 to 5, then, I'm happy. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I feel like
Great
that's
to hear.
really cool that you have so much like variety in your job right now. What does a typical day look like? 'Cause it sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on, so it might vary based on that.
Yeah. So a typical day, I'll give you a game day. So, because obviously, like, there's days that I don't have games where it's prepping, talking to coaches, all of that stuff. So, a typical game day, let's do basketball because that's where my mind's at right now. Um, with a 6 p.m. tip, usually, wake up. Maybe I have to work. I work at a bar studio in the mornings, like just the front desk sometimes. I just wanted the free membership, really. So I might have to work that, but other than that, um, waking up, getting a workout in, finishing any prep that I may have to do, like all my notes and stuff. And then head over to the arena. Right now, like I said, I'm all over the place. So like my drives are anywhere from 40 minutes to 2 hours. So I'll drive over to the arena and go to shoot around, which is where both teams come in. They, just get a feel for the court, run through any, specific like plays they're gonna run, anything like that. Um, I'll do those. They're about an hour each, so there's two of them usually. Hang out for the day, finishing up my notes, talking to coaches, all of that at shoot arounds. I'll talk to players, coaches. Um, and then call time is usually 2 hours before tip off. So between shoot arounds and tip off, I'm going to get something to eat. I'm a big car makeup girl. I do my makeup in my car. Um, just kind of chill, listen to a podcast, listen to music, scroll TikTok, whatever it may be. And then for a 6 p.m. tip, I would have a 4 p.m. call time. Go in there, get in touch with my producers, figure out who my camera guys are. Biggest piece of advice, know everyone's name. So I like literally will even write people's names down, know everyone's name, create those relationships, make even the people that clean the bathrooms feel valued in these situations because they will be important to you one day. Um, so I just kind of chat with everyone. Once SIDs show up, I'll go up and chat with SIDs, make sure I didn't miss anything, kind of let them know, like, okay, halftime, we're doing leading coach going into half, trailing coach coming out of half, player post game. Create those relationships, let them know exactly what you need from them. And then it's just kind of, finalizing any last minute details before tip off. And then if tip's at 6, it's game on from 6 until not 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then from there, you just make sure you say thank you to everyone. Um, and say thank you to the SIDs, and then you kind of just get to wrap and go home. So it's a long day, but it's like exciting and it's like I'm super nosy, like I always have been. So like I get to be the nosy one, which is cool. And that's kind of what I spend my day being is nosy. Like I'm just asking questions all day and just kind of trying to figure out anything that I need to know all day long. So yeah, that's a game day, but there's days where it's like full prep and full coaches calls and stuff like that too.
That's a crazy busy day. Kind of going off of that, I know like we've been talking about branding on social media, but I think it's like super important. I like the like your respect aspect of like being able to build that relationship with like anyone that you come across with in the day and kind of keeping that connection. So, can you talk about more of like that branding with like even someone that like cleans the bathroom or just like meeting someone just because it's just that important?
Yeah, you never know who someone could end up being. If I walk into an arena and there's someone that's white, like, the guys that use the towels to wipe up the floor if someone sweats, he could be in phase one of his career of being a GM somewhere. And if he remembers me in 10 years from now that I was rude to him or I wasn't appreciative of him, he's not going to hire me. So it's just like going out of your way to make those people like let them know that they're appreciated because that towel job is actually a very hard job. Like I get nervous for them when players are running it back up and down the court. Like I'm like, you got to get out of the way. So I think that's important. Um, and then obviously like your producers and people you're working directly with, if you're easy to work with, they're more than likely going to want to work with you again. So I just worked the SoCon tournament and I had a producer who was in my ear that was in Indianapolis. It's like far away, like they were remote. Um, but I'm still treating him with the same kindness as I'm treating the guy holding my camera because how do I know that he's not going to have a basketball tournament a year from now and they're going to be like, oh, who should we hire sideline? Oh, well, I remember Madison was great to work with. There's an opportunity. But if I was rude, if I was demanding, if I was a difficult person to work alongside, he's not bringing up my name. And as a freelancer, like every opportunity, every time someone can say your name, like it's a good thing. So I think that that's huge. And then, I mean, you guys know it. You see a classmate that walks in and, they're in a bad mood or they have a negative look on their face. Like you're not going to want to be outwardly nice to them, as opposed to if you see someone walk in that's saying hi to everyone and, walks up and says hello to your professor, like you can just feel that energy on that person. And that's someone you would want to work with. If you're asked to pick a partner between the two of them, you're going to pick that person every time. So I think that's just a way to go about work, but also, life in general. Um, but I mean, you guys know that. Like it's just treating people the way you would want to be treated. We were told it since we were in kindergarten. I have a question for you guys. Where do you guys feel like social media is going in the sports world? Like I know you guys probably have a better grasp on it than I do. I've seen some of your guys' TikTok pages. Um, like where do you feel like your generation is going to take TikTok in the sports world? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wait, I'll go first because I feel like we just talked about this the other day in class. We were between like our class discussion and then kind of being like left with it. We were all like kind of talking about like the sports world right now. Like we were seeing that like it's gonna be taken over with like a lot of like retired athletes, like broadcasters and people are gonna be kind of not fighting for positions, but like kind of not looked at as much because we have these retired athletes that are able to just like why wouldn't you want to hear these people talk? I mean, like you get all the behind the scenes from years and kind of like a different perspective on it. But I guess it's like not that they're taking our jobs, but it's hard to battle because they built such a strong like perspective of like themselves from like in brand from just being an athlete. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to like match up with anyone who like retires. So I think we were talking about it. I never thought about it as that until we got in class and we were thinking about like how they've started doing like streaming and all of that. So it's interesting to see like where it will go and like what will open up for positions and like what it would look like. I mean, like even in like a year or two, it's probably going to be so different.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like it's going to become way more dominated by the athletes, like you said, because even thinking like our age and people younger than us, like how young kids are using social media now. Like you think about them maybe growing up and playing a college sport or being a professional athlete, like they're gonna want to be posting about themselves. And I think fans really like that. Like they like seeing the behind the scenes of an athlete themselves. So obviously like the broadcasting is important, but I agree and I think the fans will just gravitate more towards like the direct information from the athletes.
Yeah, and let me leave you guys with this because I know we're going to run out of time in a minute. With all of that being said, and I completely agree. I've seen positions that, I would die to be in be filled by people because of, their background, which is great. I think it's important. But also, you look on social media, and I know you guys know these people, Kylan Darnell, Katie Feeney, they weren't athletes and they're still making a name for themselves. And it's because of that branding that they have. And it's because of who their following is and what they've built for themselves. So when you talk about branding and you talk about social media, I think that that is critical right now, especially as, things trend towards bigger personalities. Like it's super important. And I also think that you guys are in a really good spot with it. Your generation has a really good grasp, and I'm dating myself. I'm really not that much older than you guys, but you guys have a really good grasp on it. So take advantage of it and don't be afraid to post your day in the lives. Don't be afraid to post your hot takes. I sometimes don't post things, and I haven't posted things in the past because I'm scared of what Chad on my For You page is gonna say. Don't don't let it happen, especially being females. Go out, build your brand. You deserve a spot at the table, every single one of you. And you just have to really bet on yourself and it'll work out. Like we all have a spot in this industry, and whether it's TikTok, whether it's ESPN, or whether it's an Instagram reel that you post, like you have a space, and so build your brand and don't let anyone tell you that you don't deserve a spot here because you do. And that's something that I battle with. So, leaving you guys with that.
Well, that does wrap up today's episode. Huge thank you to Matison Little for joining us and giving us a closer look at the branding side of broadcasting and how broadcasters connect with fans online. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences with all of us. And thank you to everyone listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you so
much.
Thank
much.
you so much for
Course.
coming so early.
Yeah, no,
We
of
really
course. If I can
appreciate
be
it.
a resource of to any of you guys, let me know. Trin has my contact information. And yeah, just let me know what I can do. I will hopefully be, my boyfriend has a clinical rotation in Greenville this fall. So I'm gonna definitely have to grab coffee with Trin, and you guys are all more than welcome to join, and we can catch up and do whatever you need. But yeah, feel free to use me whenever you need.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
Good
you
luck
so
to you all.
much.
Thank you. You're the best.
Of course. Bye.